Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day, guys. He's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, yes, we are still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase, and it still comes with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, as well as me using it in the real world. Also, and lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have some good automotive news. Mercedes, who keep making the V12 and V8, long live the great displacement of volume of the engine, the cylinders of glory. While I do appreciate the inline-4 engine of my Honda Civic Si with a little turbo bolted onto it, I do long to have a big displacement engine. Someday maybe a V10 with a stick shift, or V12 perhaps. And of course the iconic American V8. Though ironically, fun business fact of the day, the V8 was actually first conceptualized by a French engineer named Leon in 1902, bringing France's accomplishments in history up to three things right before or after the bikini, and the FAMAS rifle is kind of interesting, and the Bugatti. That lists all the major accomplishments of France throughout the past hundreds of years. I'm only partially exaggerating. Now, before we dive into the article, I thought it'd be worth listening to the beautiful orchestra, the beautiful exhaust note that is a Mercedes with a V12 engine. Now, this is credited to Alex Gray Automotive on the YouTube, and they're looking at a Mercedes, and this is, well, I appreciate Mercedes, and AMG means it's a beautiful hand-grafted engine. I'm terrible with the nomenclature. I mean, it's called the Mercedes S65, which, come on, Mercedes, give it a real name. I know they have a long history of doing that, just like BMW, but to me, I don't know, it's a pet peeve of mine. But without further ado, my voice pales in comparison to the beauty of the exhaust note that is the V12. And then it goes on to watch the interior of the car, which no one cares about. And disappointingly, when you look at the interior of the car, it's got two pedals, also known as automatic transmission, which is obviously boring as hell. I find it completely abhorrent. The Mercedes AMG GT, awkwardly clumsily named, the really cool coupe with the pop-up doors, that has a huge, awesome engine, but it only has two pedals. Come on, I mean, three pedals is just better. As we all know, it's just infinitely more fun, but I partially digress. Now, going to the actual article from motor1.com. Specifically, this is going to be accredited to one of the writers over there by the name of, apologies for that. Adrian, I was going to say, I'm not intentionally trying to butcher this name, though I can't help but think I probably will. Adrian Padayu, which, whoopsies. And here you can see one of the Mercedes sedans popped up with a beautiful V12, though, again, putting some crappy plastic on top of the engine always bothers me. Show me the actual engine. I don't want noise dampening. I want to hear the real thing. I know I'm perhaps in the minority of that, but I don't know. It's always an abomination to see plastic plastered on top of these engines. Ridiculous. Now, they say, quote, Mercedes is keeping the V8 and V12 engines. They say that AMG is developing a new, I almost threw up my mouth. They did know that AMG is developing a new electrified V8 for all three people who want that in San Francisco. Again, there's a market for that. Don't get me wrong. Can't help but think it's probably in the minority. Perhaps also tyrannical countries that are banning fun with big displacement engines as well. Now, he says, quote, Mercedes held its annual results at a conference outlining how it intends to become leaner, faster, and stronger. The theme of its new roadmap is, quote, mastering transformation and not just marketing fluff. The three-pointed star has a busy agenda, which includes planning an electric C-Class, GLC, and E-Class models, which that wasn't a joke. They're actually doing that. And a, quote, major upgrade for the S-Class, the flagship will retain one of the most important assets, the V12 engine, which, again, is a thing of beauty, and it breaks my heart. I mean, of all things BMW has done over the past, hundreds of years, the fact that BMW doesn't still make the beautiful V12 for the stick shift is such a lost business opportunity for them to make a supercar. I know they made the Mercedes M Coupe years ago. Not that. They have their iconic one that's a dual fuel doors or the dual fuel capabilities. They don't make a lot of supercars. I wish they did. But the most iconic car of all time, the McLaren F1, famously does have the BMW powertrain. But my ADHD and speaking way too fast, I'll partially digress in that regard. The German luxury brand is expressing its long-term commitment to the venerable V12 powerhouse, but the twin-turbo 6-liter engine will continue only in, quote, select markets, presumably in regions of the world where tyranny is not too bad, also known as where emissions regulations are more relaxed. Again, your vote matters. Mercedes installs its largest combustion engine in the Maybach S-Class S680 and the armored S-Class Guard. Separately, the AMG supplies a V12 to Pagani for the Utopia hypercar, which is perhaps one of the awesomest stick shifts of all time. They say Mercedes is the only brand from Germany in the luxury trio to retain the 12-cylinder mill in its portfolio. BMW killed the 760i in 2022 with the previous generation 7 Series in the limited final run flavor exclusive to the United States. As for Audi, the W12 died for the previous generation. A8 was retired in 2017. The current model was supposed to get a 6-liter unit, but the 4 Rings decided to change heart, although the prototypes were based on the D5 generation were built. Which, come on, BMW. There's enthusiasts that'll pay through the nose for just any BMW with a stick shift V12. I know it's not going to be a large volume unit, and my ADHD is terrible today. Apologies. But it's such a rare, unique experience. I mean, Lamborghini, the old Lamborghinis, like LP 640, specifically, the V12 and a stick are going for $1 million. They're just leaving money on the table at this point. They say there's no word about the fate of the inline 6. Who cares? But since the bigger engines are staying, logic tells us that Mercedes won't give up the 3-liter unit either. Moving down the range, get ready for it. A 48-volt electrified high-tech 4-cylinder engine. Its debut next month will be in the new CLA with a small 1.5-liter unit that will be hooked up to an 8-speed dual-clutch heartless automatic transmission. Mercedes developed a smaller engine, but the 4-pot will be industrialized with its partner in China, which, again, an inline 4 engine can be great. I love my Honda Civic Si. Great, downshifting into the corners on the track. A little heartbreaking when you get passed by Miata in a straightaway at the track, though. But again, Honda Civic Si's had its 4 cylinders for decades. People love it. That's what you expect. A Mercedes, a luxury car? Yeah, I don't think so. We'll see how well that really sells. They say Mercedes projects that the plug-in hybrids and EVs will account for only 30% of the total sales by 2027. The other 70% will be ICE cars, many with the 48-volt technology. This is a reality check that shows the company was overly ambitious with its previous electric goals. Yeah, they all were. Also, the governments were really putting the screws to them. As early as 2030, the company had intended to go purely electric, quote, where market conditions allow. They say that is not happening anymore. So it's great to see some, an age-old philosopher once said, there's no replacement for displacement. Again, I'm not saying every car should have a V12 and a stick shift. That would kind of be like in utopia. Might be what heaven is like. But I know not everyone prefers to have a stick shift. That's kind of my soapbox moment or pet peeve in the automotive community. And I do love to see some of these German brands actually growing a spine and a backbone and actually saying we're going to make these vehicles, we're going to make these large engines because consumers want it. I pray and hope Aston Martin grows a pair and continues the V12 commitment beyond 2030, which, again, they did say they're extending it to 2030. But we'll see what the future holds. But there's some good news to the automotive community, and I greatly appreciate that. But let me know in the comments, would you ever want to have a V12? Sure, it guzzles a lot of gas, but there's some things in life you kind of measure smiles per mile. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.